Deep in the Amazon, I felt the familiar hum of life. Years of expeditions have led me here. My partner Liam was beside me. We were more than partners. We were brothers. Our shared dream was close at hand. We had spent years chasing this legend. Countless dangers, shared meals, and whispered hopes. Our bond was forged in the wild. I trusted Liam with my life. He was family. Then we found it. A faint glow in the darkest part of the canopy. The legendary Lumina plant. Its bioluminescence pulsed with an otherworldly light. Its properties were beyond anything imagined. We had done it. Our breakthrough was real. Euphoria filled the air. We celebrated our discovery. Liam raised his canteen, a wide grin on his face. But then a subtle shift, a flicker in his eyes. Something I couldn't quite place. I dismissed it as fatigue. Later, my satellite communicator went silent. No signal. I checked the power, the antenna. Nothing. The jungle often played tricks with signals. I told myself it was just a temporary interference. Liam offered to check the transport boat. He said he would ensure our escape route was ready. I trusted him. We shared a final meal by the campfire. We talked about the future, our shared fame. It felt like a dream. I woke to a crashing sound. Metal tearing, wood splintering. My heart leaped. I saw Liam's silhouette. He was near the boat. Then he ran. His shadow disappeared into the inky jungle night. Panic seized me. I rushed out. Tripped over something sharp. A searing pain shot up my leg. The transport boat was wrecked. Severed fuel lines. Ripped engine. I was critically injured. Stranded. Alone. The pieces clicked into place. The silent comms. The damaged boat. Liam's strange look. It wasn't an accident. It was calculated. Deliberate. He had left me to die. My brother had betrayed me. I watched his boat, our boat, disappear down the river. He took everything. The Lumina plant. Our research. My life's work. He left me for dead. Bleeding, broken, but not defeated. I would not die here. I would make him pay. The jungle pressed in, a suffocating green wall. My leg throbbed. A dull, constant ache. I used my machete to hack away at thick vines, trying to clear a small space. Every movement sent sharp pain through me. Liam's betrayal fueled a cold rage, keeping the despair at bay for now. I would not die here, not like this. My botanical knowledge became my only weapon. I identified a broad-leafed plant, its sap known to stem bleeding. Another, a root with mild analgesic properties. I chewed it, the bitter taste a small comfort. I fashioned a makeshift splint for my leg, using sturdy branches and strips, torn from my torn shirt. It was crude, but it would have to do. I remembered a time, years ago, when Liam had accidentally misplaced my research notes right before a crucial presentation. He apologized profusely, but I had to scramble to recreate them. Then there was the time he took credit for a minor discovery I had made during a joint paper. Small things, I had dismissed them. Now they were sharp, painful memories, each a tiny crack in the dam of my trust. A sudden rustle in the undergrowth snapped me back to the present. The pair of glowing eyes, low to the ground. A jaguar. My heart pounded. I grabbed a heavy branch, my injured leg screaming in protest. It stalked me, a silent hunter. I stood my ground, roaring back, a primal sound of defiance. It hesitated, then melted back into the shadows. The silence after the jaguar was worse. It was a heavy, suffocating blanket. The isolation was a poison, seeping into my mind. I saw Liam's face in the flickering shadows, his triumphant grin as he sailed away. He thought he had erased me. The thought was a physical blow, worse than any injury. I was a ghost in my own life. But with the ghost came a spark, a burning, desperate need to prove him wrong. Liam's face, bathed in the false glory he stole, became my compass. I would not give him the satisfaction of my death. This jungle would not claim me. I would rise from this green hell, and he would answer for his crimes. Vengeance became my new lifeblood. I re-examined the wreckage of the boat. The fuel lines were not just cut. They were cleanly severed, almost surgically. The engine block had been tampered with. A deliberate act, not an accident. The satellite communicator had its internal wiring deliberately shorted. Liam had planned this, every cold, calculated detail. The evidence was irrefutable. With a grim resolve, I began to move. Each step was agony, a test of will. I limped along the ringer bank, hoping it would eventually lead to a village, a logging camp, anything. My supplies were almost gone. The jungle was vast, indifferent, but I had a destination. Liam. And a purpose. Justice. My body was a canvas of pain, but my mind was sharper than ever. I planned. I plotted. I imagined the headlines, the ruin of Liam's stolen legacy. He thought he had won. He thought I was dead. He was wrong. I would return, a ghost from his past, to reclaim what was mine. The impossible return was my only option. The battle raged within me, succumb to the jungle's embrace, or fight my way out. With every painful dragging step, I chose. I chose life. I chose vengeance. I would not just survive, I would conquer. Liam would regret the day he left me for dead. My return would be his undoing, and I would make sure the world knew his true face. The jungle finally spat me out. My body was a road map of pain, cuts, and scars. I was thin, my clothes in rags. I looked at my reflection in a muddy puddle. I was a stranger. No one would know me. This was my first step back into the world. Liam thought I had left forever. Getting back was harder than I imagined. No ID, no money, just a story no one believed. I was a ghost trying to prove I existed. Bureaucrats looked at me with suspicion. They saw a vagrant, not a scientist. Each no was a small hammer blow, solidifying my resolve. Then I saw it. A newspaper headline. Dr. Liam Vance discovers miraculous Vance's bloom. My breath caught. My plant. My life's work. His name. The world celebrated him. My stomach twisted. He had done it. He had stolen everything. I watched the news reports. Liam polished and confident, accepting awards. He spoke of his solitary journey, his unprecedented discovery. He smiled, basking in the spotlight. Each word was a lie, each cheer a stab. He wore my fame like a stolen cloak, paid for with my blood. I tried to reach out. Old colleagues, the university, funding agencies. They heard my name, then saw my face. They saw a madman, a delusional wanderer. My calls went unanswered. My emails were ignored. My past self, my identity was gone. Liam had erased me completely. The trauma was deep. To be alive yet declared dead. To have my entire life's work, my legacy, usurped. It was a unique kind of hell. I was a ghost in my own life, haunting the edges of a world that no longer knew me. But ghosts can be powerful. Ghosts can seek justice. I observed Liam, his new lavish lifestyle, the grand house, the expensive cars, the pharmaceutical deals he was signing. Millions of dollars for my discovery. He was living the dream we had shared, but alone. It was a constant reminder of his betrayal and my purpose. I started my own research. I found every paper Liam had published on the Vance's bloom. I read them line by line, page by page. I knew the plant better than anyone. I searched for inconsistencies, for any tiny flaw that only the true discoverer would recognize. This was my new expedition, and I found it. A small error in the environmental data. A minute detail about the soil composition where the Lumina plant thrived. Liam had made a mistake, a tiny, almost invisible slip. It was a detail only I, who had spent years observing that specific patch of jungle, would know. My first piece of real evidence. I was no longer just a survivor. I was an observer, a ghost with a mission. My determination had hardened into a cold, calculated resolve. Liam thought he had won. He thought I was dead. He was wrong. My return was just the beginning of his undoing. I would make sure of it. I adopted a new name. It was simple, forgettable. This new identity was a shield. My old life, my real name, was a target. I began building a new digital footprint, one that left no trace back to the man Liam thought he had buried. I frequented online forums, academic blogs. I was a quiet observer, a ghost in the machine. I read comments on Liam's papers. Most were praise. But I watched for the subtle critiques, the questions that hinted at deeper thought. I needed to find the cracks. I crafted an anonymous email. It went to a former colleague, Dr. Anya Sharma. She was meticulous, sharp. The email simply asked about a minor discrepancy in Liam's published data on the plant's cellular structure. Just a question, nothing more. Liam's papers were full of grand claims, but the devil was in the details. His descriptions of the Luminot plant's growth cycle, its unique nutrient needs, they were slightly off. He hadn't spent years in the jungle, watching it breathe, as I had. My old notebooks were gone, but the memories were not. I started from scratch. I drew diagrams, wrote out equations. I reconstructed our original data, piece by painful piece. It was a mirror, reflecting the truth against Liam's lies. The deeper I dug, the clearer the picture became. Liam had not just stolen my work. He had rewritten history, fabricated field notes, altered lab results. He built a fortress of lies, brick by careful brick, to protect his stolen glory. I remembered a night by the river. Liam had lost his waterproof camera, right after we photographed a rare insect near the lumina. He seemed agitated. Then I thought nothing of it. Now I saw it as a deliberate act. He wanted no independent proof of my presence. I set up a secure, untraceable server. I posted a small detail, an anomaly, on a lesser-known scientific forum. It wasn't a direct accusation. It was a question, a subtle nudge. I watched the replies, waiting for a ripple. Anya replied to my anonymous email. Her response was guarded, professional. But she acknowledged the discrepancy. She even added a small note. It is curious how some details align with old, unconfirmed theories. The seed was growing. I needed a specific spectrometer, one designed for rare bioluminescent compounds. It was expensive, hard to find. It would prove the exact chemical signature of our lumina, a signature Liam could never replicate without the original specimen. I found one for sale, far away. This was my next move. I published my anonymous paper. It was a subtle critique, not a direct attack. I questioned a small specific detail in Liam's published methods for cultivating the lumina plant. It was a technicality, easily missed by most, but critical to a true understanding of the plant. I watched, knowing he would have to respond. Liam dismissed my anonymous challenge with a wave of his hand in a televised interview. He called it petty academic squabbling. In doing so, he made a new careless claim about his unique cultivation process. A claim that directly contradicted an earlier, less publicized statement he had made. He dug his own hole deeper, just as I expected. I used my contacts, the ones who still believed in the pursuit of pure science, to arrange a major symposium. Liam was the star. He was invited to present his ongoing research on the lumina plant. He would be on a grand stage, under a spotlight. Exactly where I needed him to be. I held the small vial. Inside was a microscopic fragment of the lumina plant. A specific cellular anomaly, a unique genetic marker. Only I, who had spent years observing it in its natural habitat, would know to look for this. It was irrefutable proof, a silent witness to our shared discovery. This was my trump card. Liam's arrogance grew with each passing day. He paraded his stolen glory, oblivious to the meticulous trap closing around him. He gave interviews, signed books, accepted more awards. I watched him from the shadows, a ghost in his triumphant procession. His confidence was a weakness I would exploit. I continued to feed snippets of doubt to independent journalists. Anonymous tips, questions about specific dates, discrepancies in Liam's field notes. Not accusations, just subtle nudges. I wanted them to start digging on their own. The media, once his biggest advocate, would soon become his biggest threat. I found Sarah, a former research assistant. She had been on a short supply run during our expedition. She kept meticulous records of logistical details. One entry, a forgotten receipt for a specific type of fuel, placed her near our camp at a time Liam claimed to be alone. It was a small detail, but it chipped away at his fabricated narrative. I saw the change in Liam. A flicker of unease in his public appearances. He started to look over his shoulder, attributing the growing whispers to jealous rivals. He was paranoid, but he was looking in the wrong direction. He couldn't see the true threat, the one he thought he had buried. Years of pain, of isolation, of watching him steal my life, had led to this. Every agonizing step through the jungle, every rejected plea, every insult. It all fueled this moment. My resolve was absolute. This was not just revenge. It was the reclamation of my very existence. The day of Liam's grand presentation loomed. The stage was set, the audience eager. He thought it would be another triumph, another feather in his stolen cap. But I knew better. This was not a stage for his glory. It was a stage for his unraveling. The serpent was about to be trapped. I sat in the back row, a nondescript figure in a tailored suit. The auditorium was packed. Liam Vance, my betrayer, stood on stage, bathed in the spotlight. He was about to begin his grand presentation on Vance's bloom. My heart beat a steady rhythm, calm, and ready. He had no idea the ghost he thought he buried was watching him now. Liam began, his voice smooth and confident. He spun the tale of his solitary discovery, his heroic struggle in the jungle. He spoke of the lumina plant as if it were his alone, every word a lie. The audience hung on his every word, captivated by the fabricated narrative. He reveled in their admiration, a thief enjoying his spoils. At a prearranged moment, a hand went up in the audience. It was Dr. Anya Sharma, my trusted contact, playing her part perfectly. Her voice cut through the applause, polite yet firm. She asked a precise question about a minor cultivation detail, the point Liam had subtly altered in his published work. The trap was set. Liam paused, a fleeting flicker of annoyance crossing his face. He quickly recovered, dismissing Anya's question with a practiced smile. He called it a misunderstanding of the nuances of his research. He tried to move on, to regain control of his narrative. But the seed of doubt had been planted. But Anya was ready. She held up a small sealed vial. "Perhaps Dr. Vance can explain this," she said, her voice clear. Inside was the microscopic fragment of the Lumina plant, with its unique genetic marker. She explained it was found at the original star GPS coordinates, a detail Liam had deliberately fudged. A hush fell over the room. Liam's face went pale. His confident facade crumbled. He stammered, his eyes darting around the room, searching for an escape. He knew that fragment. He knew its significance. He knew it could only have come from the true discovery site, from our star discovery site. The serpent was cornered. This was my moment. I stood up slowly, every scar on my body a testament to his cruelty. I walked down the aisle, the spotlight finding me. The murmurs grew louder. I reached the stage. I looked at Liam, my eyes holding years of pain and resolve. "Hello, Liam," I said, my voice calm. Or should I say, "Star brother star." The room erupted. Gasps, whispers, camera flashes. I held up my waterproof case. Inside were my original field logs, my own photos, and the true timeline of our expedition. I projected them onto the main screen, side by side with Liam's falsified data. The truth, stark and undeniable, was laid bare for all to see. My words were simple, factual, devastating. Liam stood frozen, his empire of lies collapsing around him. The media frenzy was immediate. His sponsors pulled out. Academic institutions revoked his awards. The pharmaceutical deals, built on my stolen work, dissolved into thin air. Public humiliation, professional disgrace, financial ruin. He had lost everything, just as I had once lost mine. My name was cleared. My legacy, my plant, Vance's bloom, was mine once more. The world now knew the true story. I was forever changed, scarred by the jungle and the betrayal. But I was no longer a ghost. I was Ethan Vance, bioexplorer, vindicated, and at peace. Justice had been served, and the truth, like the Lumina plant, finally shone bright.